Oh, I forgot the music. Yeah, there we go. Now streaming on YouTube. We're all good here. Yes, we're good to go. Welcome everybody to the first edition of Fuck Up Friday. Excuse my language. I tried to do the eyes. You can see the asterisks there. Now streaming on YouTube. Oh, I forgot to hit record on the computer. There we go. So yes, welcome to the first ever Fuck Up Friday. And so what is F Up Friday, you ask? So give a little bit of a rundown. I don't have it quite the top of my noggin here, so I do have a cue card. So fail forwards, I always say. I'm actually turn down the music before I get started. So fail forwards, I always say. You either win or you learn. There is no true failure unless it leads to you continuing to make the same mistakes or outright quitting. So F Up Nights are gaining traction worldwide. They are events where people share their failures in a safe and supportive space in order to normalize and remove the need to attach shame or hide from their failures. We all fall flat on our faces. If failure is not an option, then neither is success. So please share with us some of your perceived failures that have turned into some of your greatest triumphs. So that will be my, my intro for F Up Friday. I can't, it sounds kind of goofy that I'm not swearing, but I know the YouTube algorithms or the YouTube censorship type situation will bump us if I don't. So forgive me for being all PG-13 about it. So what is my F Up Friday? My FUF, we'll call it. Foof. And yeah, no, maybe not. That's a terrible name. F Up Friday. Okay, we'll stick with that. And so I'm going to go with today for mine. The title of the show that I went with is "I Got This," quote unquote. So that is my big F up. And what the context is behind that. And I will say it as a advice to anybody that has any kind of addictive behavior is when your ego starts creeping back in. You've done a selection of time, 30-day challenge, 1 week challenge. You've done it 3 years. You've done it 10 years, and your ego starts creeping back in and basically saying, you know what? I think you've learned your lesson. You got this. And it's like a permission slip for you to slip up, right? To go to attempt this behavior again. And for me personally, that's I'll speak to my experience now. It was that was the a turning point for me. Was the me saying those 3 words to myself, "I got this," and it was specifically I'd been I think 3 years and 3 months into my sobriety between 2012 and 2015, and I was a groomsman at my drummer Brendan's and Jordan's, whose wife now, wedding. And by the way, Jordan's birthday today. Shout out, happy birthday, Jordan! Time of recording, April 16th. And yeah, and it was that night that I ended up. By the end of the night, I finally ended up giving in and having a shot of tequila and a Corona. And, you know, at that point I was like, I think my brain, the addict side of my brain was still just waiting in the wings. And it was amazing to me how quickly I went back to my old behaviors. It was quick and like frightening, but also strangely exhilarating because I hadn't fully reconciled or replaced the reasoning behind using you know, alcohol in the first place. I hadn't addressed that. So it was just a matter of time before it came back out. So that was my big F up, was the thought that, you know, 3 years of sobriety and 3 years of recovery was enough for me to be able to say, you know what, I got it. I can now drink like a quote unquote normal person, or I can handle this myself. I don't need the support groups. I don't need to label myself as a, you know, abuser of alcohol and, you know, those types of things. So that was my big F up for sure. And that's what led to me to, I think, the next, 3+ years of attempted moderation. And, by this time it's the same song, but it has a different nuance to it. Right. It's just the content's the same. It's just the words, the lyrics are different. It's like an AC/DC album. It's the same. That's a pretty good comparison. It's funny. Is the idea that it's like the same song, if there's just different lyrics on it. And what I mean by that is, like, I would, instead of the justifications that you go through with your addictive behavior. So I would go, well, I will drink, the local brewery beer because I'm supporting local, and it's double the expense of, the beer I used to drink. So I certainly won't drink as much because I'm, I'll price myself out of the market at that point. And, and then go, okay, I'll only drink on weekends. And then the weekends every weekend turns into a long weekend. And, things like that, where you start like just justifying it and cutting yourself deals and all that. And before you know it, you're in the same similar spot that you were, previous. So that was my big F up, was the I got this side of it. So that's my advice to anybody that is in like any kind of addictive behavior. It's not, don't put yourself in a situation where you say those words to yourself, because it literally will come back to you. That old behavior is just waiting in the wings, and it's in a split second, that behavior can and will come back, from my personal experience anyways. So that is my F up. Obviously, standing here or sitting here talking to you today, I'm well past that at this point. So happy ending that way. Don't want to leave you on a sour note heading into the weekend. But the whole idea, again, with this show is like just to normalize the idea that of screw ups, and screw ups are an event. They aren't like an identity, right? You're not your screw ups. You are the way that you respond and triumph over your screw ups speak a lot more to your identity than the screw ups themselves, right? So just keep that in mind and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.